Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Welcome to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, chapter entitled Birth of Maharaj Parikshit, Birth of Emperor Parikshit. So we are in the third and final section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, where in the first section we discussed about the first 6 questions by the sages of Naimish Aranya and the answers to those questions by Srila Shuta Goswami, who in turn quoted his own spiritual master Srila Shukadev Goswami. And those answers to the first 6 questions led to the next questions, the follow-up questions by the sages of Naimisharanya, where they asked about the background of Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of its author, history of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then finally, the canto is proceeding with the description of the primary hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit, about his birth, activities, and the glorious departure of Maharaj Parikshit. And we also discussed last time how, while answering these questions in flow, Srila Suta Goswami, when the topic came about Lord Krishna protecting the child within the womb of Uttara, Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami went in ecstasy, considering the mercy of the Lord and the reciprocation of the Lord with his special devotees, including the subsequent prayers by Queen Kunti, plea by Yudhishthir Maharaj for Lord Krishna to stay longer, and then Lord Krishna's departure from Hastinapur for Dwarka. And in this particular chapter, we see that the sages of Naimisharanya are again bringing the focus on their earlier question on Maharaj Parikshit. And as part of the previous discussion, last weekend we did not have, so previous discussion, we saw the glorious qualities of Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was specifically chosen by the Lord as the emperor of his choice to rule over the kingdom. And how we saw the king was not only himself totally devoted and surrendered to Lord Krishna, but he also guided his citizens, all the subjects, towards their spiritual upliftment, spiritual advancement. So before we go deep dive into the verses for today, we also have many special occasions today. First of all, can anyone say what is special about today? What is as per the Vaishnav calendar?
Guru Purnima.
Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima, and it also happens to be, what is Guru Purnima? It happens to be the appearance day of Vyasadev, Srila Vyasadev. And
day of Sanatan Goswami.
Yeah, Sanatan Goswami's disappearance day, correct. But before we come to Srila Sanatan Goswami, it is also the appearance day of Srila Vyasadev, who has contributed in such immense way for the upliftment of people in general by composing the Vedic literatures, the Puranas, the Upanishads, the commentary on Vedic literatures. Actually, didn't write it as a commentary, but it is a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are grateful to Srila Vyasadev. And as P.S. Murthy Prabhu mentioned, today also happens to be the disappearance day of one of our great Vaishnava Acharyas, Srila Sanatan Goswami. And it also happens to be disappearance day of one of Srila Prabhupada's very, very special and dear disciple, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. based on the tithi, not based on the date, but based on the tithi, the disappearance day of Sanatan Goswami. So we'll discuss about Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj in brief in a while. But before that, let's quickly cover who is Sanatan Goswami. So if we have to answer this question in one brief small statement, how would we answer? Who is Srila Sanatan Goswami? And whoever wants to answer, you can raise your hand so that we know who wants to answer. How do we describe Srila Sanatan Goswami? Prema Prakash Haridas Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In one sentence, we can say that he is the chief of the 6 prominent Goswamis of Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Yes, yes, very true. So as we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu formally did not accept any disciples, but the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan were his primary students. And within these Goswamis specifically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave an extensive amount of time in explaining the science of transcendental life, Krishna consciousness, specifically to Srila Sanatan Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. And as Prabhuji mentioned, Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhuji mentioned that amongst these 6 Goswamis, Srila Sanatan Goswami happens to be the senior most of all these 6 Goswamis. And don't get confused, but Srila Rupa Goswami also considers him as his, not only as his elder brother by blood relations, but more importantly as his own guru, as his spiritual master. So he is very, very important spiritual preceptor, acharya for all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradayas. And specifically, we see that the 6 Goswamis were given the specific service of writing the books, writing the conclusions of the Vedic literatures from the devotional service point of view by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And within the 6 Goswamis, these 2 Goswamis, Srila Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they contributed in great way. Of course, there are writings by other Goswamis also, but specifically we do see prominently the writings of these 2 Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada also referred to their writings in a great manner, and he also, his prominent disciples further also translated those Goswami literatures in English language. What have been some of the prominent contributions of Sanatan Goswami in terms of his writing? What is his most famous book? Yes, Adidev Gopesh Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hari Bhakti Vilas.
Hari Bhakti Vilas, very nice. Hari Bhakti Vilas. And what else? What is the other book?
Other book, I don't know. I don't remember, Prabhuji.
Okay, no problem. Any other devotees? Let me see. All right. So other book which is quite... sorry, come again, Prabhuji.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah, that is written by his younger brother, Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. So, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, basically, which explains the beautiful story of the Gopa Kumar, and it's very inspiring. We can discuss some other time. But we saw Sanatan Goswami contributed in a great manner in presenting the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the conclusions from those teachings in the form of his writings, and which were also referred to by our predecessor acharyas, including by our founder acharya Srila Prabhupada. So first we will read through this particular purport, a part of purport by Srila Prabhupada, and then we will also see why the second picture of Govardhan is mentioned here along with Sanatan Goswami. So any devotee would like to read through Prabhuji's Mataji's, then we can discuss briefly and then we proceed. Okay, we have few devotees. Gunashri Mataji and Geeta Mataji, you read the next one. Yes, Gunashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Pranam. Srila Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day. Srila Prabhupada on Sanatana Goswami. Srila Sanatana Goswami is the ideal spiritual master, for he delivers one the shelter of the lotus feet of Madana Mohana. Even though one may be unable to travel on the field of Vrindavana due to the forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can get an adequate opportunity to stay in Vrindavana and derive all spiritual benefits by the mercy of Sanatana Goswami. Sri Govindaji acts exactly like the Siksha Guru, instructing spiritual master by teaching Arjuna the Bhagavad Gita. He is the original preceptor, for he gives us instructions and an opportunity to serve him. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madana Mohana Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Deva Vigraha. Both of these deities are worshipped at Vrindavana. Srila Gopinatha is the ultimate attraction in spiritual realization. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 1.47.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that any types of Vedic literatures, especially those relating to devotional service, they are divided into three particular portions. So some part of it might seem philosophical, but very important to understand. These three portions of any Vedic literatures, they teach about Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. So very quickly, Sambandha means understanding our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Abhideya means activities in that after understanding that relationship, which are the 9 processes of devotional service, that is called Abhideya. And Prayojan means achieving the ultimate goal in spiritual life to achieve the love of God, go back home, back to Godhead. So these three personalities in the 6 Goswamis, namely Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, they are considered as the respective acharyas who have given the Radha Krishna Archa Vigraha, specifically Sanatan Goswami's Archa Vigraha Madan Mohan, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, who are considered as the Sambandha Vigraha. Srila Rupa Goswami's Archa Vigraha are Shri Radha Govinda Dev, who are considered as the uh, deities for Abhideya, for the process of devotional service, and Shri Radha Gopinath, who are the preceptor, presiding deities for Prayojan, for the ultimate goal of achieving the love of God. So similarly, corresponding to those deities, Srila Sanatan Goswami is considered as Sambandha Acharya. That means that teacher who has taught us the knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Rupa Goswami as the Acharya for Abhideya, for rendering the process of devotional service, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami as the Acharya for Prayojan, as the ultimate goal of human life. So Sanatan Goswami specifically is considered as the Sambandha Acharya, the predecessor teacher who has taught us the knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And why Govardhan Parvat? Like we see in the life story of Srila Sanatan Goswami, that he was sent by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to reside in Vrindavan, and he made his residence near the Govardhan Parvat within the Brajabhumi. And specifically, his loving interactions with the Brajavasis were such that he used to have a very personal interactions and relationship with all the Brajavasis, asking about their well-being, even asking to make sure that are they doing okay in their farming, are their daughters, sons getting married properly, and all that. That all these Brajavasis had a very deep bond of loving reciprocation with Sanatan Goswami, and as a result, to show their appreciation and gratitude for Sanatan Goswami on this particular day of Guru Purnima, which happens to be the disappearance day of Sanatan Goswami, maximum number of Vrajavasis, they perform Govardhan Parikrama. in honor of this great saint, Srila Sanatan Goswami. So he's very, very special in that manner. And Srila Prabhupada writes in 5th chapter of Adi Leela, anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Shri Radha and Krishna should always, excuse me, should always aspire to be under the guidance of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was the personal secretary of the Lord, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So our Sambandha Acharya, Abhideya Acharya, and Prayojan Acharya. So this is about Srila Sanatan Goswami in a very brief manner. Today is a very important day of his disappearance. Then in 1 minute about Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So like we had discussed last time, different disciples of Srila Prabhupada have inherited different mood of Srila Prabhupada, and they are taking forward this mission, carrying that mood. So one of those very dear disciples of Srila Prabhupada was Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who came from a very, very prominent, affluent Bengali family. Maharaj had his higher education in the Western world, and especially like specifically in Europe. And subsequently, he was disenchanted by the material life and was sincerely seeking the goal of life. And by Krishna's grace, he happened to come across Srila Prabhupada, across the devotees, and through the devotees across Srila Prabhupada. And there is a very nice book called Ocean of Mercy, which is autobiography by Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, specifically mentioning contribution of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj to the movement. Maharaj has been instrumental in translating all works of Srila Prabhupada in Bengali language, all the books. And Srila Prabhupada was very fond of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, where he gave him many personal services, including the important service of cooking for Srila Prabhupada. And if we read the descriptions of writings of various devotees about Srila Prabhupada's last days on this earthly planet, we will find how Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was one of the very important part of that devotee circle who cared for Srila Prabhupada and during his last days. And Maharaj has also been instrumental in establishing the glorious devotee community, a glorious temple in Ujjain, as well as disciples all over the world. And even his passing away was very glorious during the COVID time. Sometime we can share that 3-4 minute video in which Bhakti Charu Maharaj explained about his mood, why he was going to US during the peak of the COVID wave in order to support the devotees. And he departed from the world fighting on the field by risking his life to preach Krishna consciousness. He ultimately was afflicted with COVID and subsequently left this world, if I remember the date, around 4th of July 2020. So today is his disappearance day by Tithi. And today also happens to be the beginning of the not today, but starting from the Ashadi or Shayani Ekadashi, which was recently there. So it marks the beginning of the Chaturmasya season, the first month of the 4-month rainy season. And we will read about one small purport of Srila Prabhupada, where he does mention about Chaturmasya. And there are many subsequent portions of Srila Prabhupada's talk where he has given specific instructions for devotees. But we will just read through this one particular purport. So Gita Mataji, maybe you can read. Let me open the page 4169. Yes, Mataji.
Hare
Are you
Krishna.
comfortable reciting the verse, or should I recite?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, Mataji. Okay.
Thank you. Grishmakala ante punaha.
Grishmakala
You can recite Mataji yourself so that we save time.
Okay. Grishmakala ante punaha. Neelachale gela. Neelachale chaturmasya ananderahila. Translation. At the end of summer, Madhavendra Puri returned to Jagannath Puri, where he remained with great pleasure during the whole period of Chaturmasya. Shall I continue, Papa? Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. The Chaturmasya period begins in the month of Ashada, June, July, from the day of Ekadashi called Shayana Ekadashi, in the fortnight of the waxing moon. The period ends in the month of Kartika, October and November, on the Ekadashi day known as Uttana Ekadashi, in the fortnight of the waxing moon. This 4-month period is known as Chaturmasya. Some Vaishnavas also observe it from the full moon day of Ashada until the full moon day of Kartika. That is also a period of 4 months. The period calculated by the lunar months is called Chaturmasya. But others also observe Chaturmasya according to the solar month from Shravana to Kartika. The whole period, either lunar or solar, takes place during the rainy season. Chaturmasya should be observed by all sections of the population. It does not matter whether one is Grahastha or Sannyasi. The observance is obligatory for all ashramas. The real purpose behind the vow taken during these 4 months is to minimize the quantity of sense gratification. This is not very difficult. In the month of Shravana, one should not eat spinach. In the month of Bhadrapada, one should not eat yogurt. And in the month of Ashwija, one should not drink milk. One should not eat fish or other non-vegetarian food during the month of Kartika. A non-vegetarian diet means fish and meat. Similarly, Masura dal and Urad dal are also considered non-vegetarian. These two dals contain a great amount of protein, and food rich in protein is considered non-vegetarian. On the whole, during the 4-month period of Chaturmasya, one should practice giving up all food intended for sense enjoyment.
Thank you. Thank you. So don't get confused by this purport, because Srila Prabhupada has explained the significance of Chaturmasya and how this Vrata was followed even by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our predecessor Acharyas. So specifically in the Vedic culture, this was meant for the renunciates, the sannyasis, the traveling preachers. They used to reside in one particular place for the 4-month period, as we saw in the life span of Narada Muni as a son of a maid servant. The Bhakti Vedanta stayed in that particular place during the Chaturmasya season, 4 rainy months. So the main purpose was, as during this particular period, it's a period of progenation for many different species, including the insects and all. And in order not to cause minimum inconvenience, the sannyasis, they used to reside in one particular place and intensify their devotional service. And in same regard, 4 months of this particular season, there are different food items from which the fasting is suggested. However, having said this, these guidelines about refraining from certain food items during each of the 4 months of Chaturmasya are not as stringent as the instructions that Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas have given on following other regulative principles, including Ekadashi fast, for example. So, not having grains on Ekadashi day is more or less needed or instructed for a devotee, unless somebody has got any bodily limitations or age related limitations, or for the young child or a nursing mother, so on and so forth. However, the regulations for Chaturmasya, mainly we can consider one should not have food which is too much of a sense enjoyment, and should instead try to intensify one's devotional service. But if one still wants to follow the nitty-gritties, then the abstinence for these 4 months are mentioned, including for the first month, if I'm not wrong, it is the spinach, the leafy vegetable. Yeah, so for the first month it is spinach, for the next month it is yogurt. And one important point is, please do not judge any devotees if they are not following this, because it is not 100% compulsion plus. But main thing is, if we can intensify devotional service, follow certain ways to reinforce our devotional practice and commitment, that is more important. Hare Krishna. So sometimes devotees don't take yogurt, but they can take other preparations which are made of yogurt, say for example kadhi in prasadam and so on and so forth. So in general, that is the background of Chaturmasya. So now we come to our today's part of chapter 12. Any devotees have any questions, comments? If not, we proceed. 1 second. Oops. So I will just stop sharing for a minute. Some issue with the mouse. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, not a question, but this month spinach, if you can just sort of brief a little more, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, so what I have heard in different classes, Mataji, is the first point that we mentioned, that it is also the season of progenation for various insects and all. So it is all these giving up of these items are more or less to avoid any violence towards them or make this food available for that own specific species. Say for example spinach for this month, or the milk for the calves for next month, in general, not milk but the product of the milk, the yogurt. But this is what I have heard on a high level, Mataji. Not, I don't recollect any other significant points on why spinach, the leafy vegetables. Any other devotees want to share anything what you have heard on this? Lalita Vinodini Mataji, you want to share something?
What I always feel is like my elders at home, they should always avoid leafy vegetables because you'll find that worms in that. Because
Worms,
they
yeah.
thrive on that, leafy vegetables. So it is better to avoid. See, that means without like devotional, they were telling this as a practical example, like, don't buy any of the leafy vegetable during rainy season because they are thriving on that leafy vegetables.
Yes, Mata. So not to cause violence to them and leave that food to themselves.
Yes.
For Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's Mata, I don't know what is the issue with the mouse. I'm not able to use the pointer. 1 second. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I saw in the purport it was written like Masoor dal and Urad
And
dal
Udad
are
dal,
also
yes.
like non-vegetarian.
So I have
So,
again, so take it with a pinch of salt, because we do use, I'll give you one example to understand this point. What is the reason Prabhupada mentioned? Because they contain lot of protein. Similarly, Prabhupada has also given instruction on one more item, which is a gray area. Say, for example, on soya bean, which contains lot of protein, or mushrooms, because they grow up in a dark place, they are considered in ignorance. But there have been incidences, there have been recorded instances during Srila Prabhupada's lifetime where one time the devotees did bring lot of mushrooms from a place, and Srila Prabhupada exactly did not ask him to discard those mushrooms, but asked him to basically use them in bhoga, offer it and then offer to the devotees. So in general, devotees, especially, I'll tell you very transparently, for the renunciate, for the brahmacharis and all, these guidelines are more stringent, because the sense control is one of the very important aspect of them maintaining their spiritual sadhana. So soya bean is strictly, you will never find it being used in the cooking in the temple. But udad dal and masoor dal, these are like, udad dal we still specifically use, especially for the South Indian items, idli and many other ingredient. So that is not totally forbidden as such, Mataji, but we have this purport by Srila Prabhupada. But some of the items, same for soya bean, say for example, in the prasadam that is distributed in community kitchen here, soya bean is used many times. Why? Because it is a easier and less expensive alternative which can give protein intake. In the mass food they are distributing, so some amount of soya bean, if they add in rice, then it can be nutritious. So we can see both aspects of it. If not to be used, what is the reason? And if indeed it is to be used, in what measure and quantity it should be used, that we have to be mindful of. Is that all right, Mataji? Okay, so
Yes,
coming,
Prabhu. Actually,
coming back to this,
Masoor dal,
Yes, Prabhu.
yeah,
Thank you.
Masoor dal normally we don't use, right, in ISKCON. Like it
we
is, we
don't
don't use
yeah.
Masoor dal. Yeah. But I was like wondering why urad dal is also mentioned there.
Yeah, but because of lot of protein, but let
Because
me
we
come
use urad dal in so many.
many, yes.
Yeah.
So and what to speak of urad dal, I
Yeah.
gave you example in devotee community kitchen here. So soya bean is also used. So these are meant based on a specific context and are to be followed based on that particular context. Okay, like distributing prasadam, say, to thousands of workers, we can't afford paneer, it will be very expensive. So less expensive alternative to that to provide proteins is soya, which is used. So there are instruction by Prabhupada, but it is not 100% forbidden as such. But just that one cannot take too much, otherwise it will be difficult to follow the sense control.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, scientifically, as far as the medical science is concerned, high protein diet during the rainy season is actually forbidden because the digestive system works at a lower level in the rainy season, which is humid and hot as well. And that's one of the reason why most of the diet prescribes less protein during the 4 months of rainy season, even in our religion. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Pro. So these are some of the practical aspects. But just point is, don't be extreme in our judgment and thoughts, not to judge devotees at all. So let us proceed with our text for today. Any other questions, comments? If not, we proceed. All right. Devotees who want to recite, please keep your hands raised. All right. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, text 7. One second. Today there are a lot of windows that are open, so I'm fearful I shouldn't forget any of those references. Let's see. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Matur garbhagato viraha viraha.
Matur
Garbhagato viraha
Satada bhrugunandana.
satada bhrugunandana
Dadarsha purusham kaschid.
dadarsha purusham kaschid
Dahyamano astra tejasa.
dahyamano asti tejasa.
Translation.
Translation is given Krishna Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Bhrigu, that is Shaunaka, when the child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of the Brahmastra that is thrown by Ashwatthama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, just give me 1 minute. There is one word here, Viraha. Parikshit Maharaj is being referred by the sages of Naimicharanya as the great fighter, as a Veera. Yes, Mataji, purport.
Purport by Srivan Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. A living being, according to his own action, is allowed to enter into the womb of a mother by the vehicle of a father's semen, and thus he develops his desired body. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past actions. When he is awake from trance, he feels the inconvenience of being confined within the womb, and thus he wants to come out of it, and sometimes fortunately prays to the Lord for such liberations. Maharaja Parikshit, should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, please continue.
Maharaja Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama, and he was feeling the burning heat. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared himself within the womb by his all-powerful energy, and the child could see that someone else had come to save him. Even in that helpless condition, the child Parikshit endured the unbearable temperature due to his being a great fighter by nature. And for this reason, the word Viraha has been used. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here Prabhupada mentions that how child which is constrained in a small space in mother's womb prays to the Lord while being in mother's womb. And this particular topic has been touched few times both in the scriptures as well as in the compositions of our Vaishnava acharyas, like Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Vaishnava song, one of the Vaishnava song, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also mentions that how while being in the womb of the mother, every child prays to the Lord that, my dear Lord, please take me out of this awkward position, and once I am out, I will practice devotional service to you. But as soon as a person is out of the mother's womb, we become a birthday boy, a boy who has all the boy or girl who has all the attention, and then we forget what commitment, what promise we had made to the Supreme Lord. And specifically in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is also a description of how the child grows within the womb of the mother, and after the child has gained full consciousness, then the prayers of the child within the womb of the mother to the Supreme Lord. So we will read a small part of it, just the translation. So Lalita Vinodini Mataji, you continue to read only the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation by Devendra Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Fallen into a pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire, the embodied soul anxious to get out, counts his months and prays, "Oh my Lord, when shall I, a wretched fool, be released from this confinement?"
Thank you. Next one.
Hare Krishna. Translation by Devendra Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By my dear Lord, by your causeless mercy, I am awakened to consciousness. Although I am only 10 months old, for this causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the friend of all fallen souls, there is no way to express my gratitude but to pray with folded hands.
Thank you. So these prayers by the child within the womb are mentioned. I'll just cover two more. The living entity in another type of body sees only by instinct. He knows only the agreeable and disagreeable sense perceptions of that particular body. But I have a body in which I can control my senses and can understand my destination. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whom I have been blessed with this body and by whose grace I can see Him within and without. Therefore, O my Lord, although I am living in a terrible condition, I do not wish to depart from my mother's abdomen to fall again into the blind veil of materialistic life. Your external energy, called Deva Maya, at once captures the newly born child, and immediately false identification, which is the beginning of the cycle of continual birth and death, begins. So these are beautiful prayers by the child within the womb, which are offered by the child after one gains the full consciousness, basically after the child is fully developed within the womb of the mother after around 7 months. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that how Parikshit Maharaj, although being such a tender child, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Divya Rukmini Mataji, please mute Mataji. How Parikshit Maharaj, although being a tender child within the womb of the mother, had to bear the scorching heat of the Brahmastra weapon, which was released upon the child by Ashwatthama. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions at a different place in third canto purports that Lord Krishna specifically granted a body to Maharaj Parikshit to be able to withstand the scorching heat of Brahmastra and still not die. And why did Lord Krishna do this? Why did he specifically chose to protect Maharaj Parikshit? Will come in the subsequent verses. So let's proceed. Text 8. 1 second. Gita Pradeep Mataji. Oh, sorry, was it Gita Mataji or some Sanjukta Mataji? You had raised your hand also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sanjukta Mataji. Yes, Mataji, you can recite the verse.
Angushtamatram amalam
Angushtamatram
Angushtamatram
Puratamaulinam
Spurat
Puratamaulinam
Apabhyadarshanam Shyamam
Apivya
Darshanam Shyamam
Tadit Bhashasham Achyutam.
Tadit Vasasam
Achyutam.
Achyutam.
Translation.
Translation by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus he was seen by the child.
Yes, thank you. So here, the description of the form of the Lord, which was seen by Maharaj Parikshit within the womb of his mother, is described. In general, the size of the Paramatma, Srila Prabhupada also writes in his books, the size of the Paramatma is mentioned as the size of the one's thumb, around that small. But it was a complete form of transcendence and with all the beauty, bodily beauty of the Lord. And yeah, maybe in the next section purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Brahma Samhita. Continue to read the translation, Sanjukta Mataji. The Lord
Was enriched with 4 hands, earrings of molten gold, and eyes blood red with fury. As he loitered about, his club consistently encircled him like a shooting star.
yes,
Purport
yes.
by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said in the Brahma Samhita chapter 5 that the Supreme Lord Govinda, by his one plenary portion, enters into the halo of the universe and distributes himself as Paramatmas, or the super soul, not only within the heart of every living beings, but also within every atom of the material elements.
Thank you, Mataji. So here Srila Prabhupada is quoting from a very specific verse from Brahma Samhita, where it is mentioned the 8th verse. These are not numbered. Yeah, this one. Ekopyasau rachaitum jagadandakoti yashaktir-asti jagadanda-chayayadanta andantarastha-paramanuchayatarastham govindam adi-purusham tamaham bhajami. This particular line of this Brahma Samhita verse, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayatarastham, it means that Lord is residing as the super soul in each and every item and in each and every item of the creation and in each and every living entity. So that means if we consider like how many Paramatmas we have, Matajis, Prabhujis, in our body.
Many,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Many Paramatmas.
Yes. So based on this logic, there are many, because there are innumerable microbes residing within our body. and each of those microbes would have a Paramatma in them. Plus, even in matter, which is not a living entity, Lord Krishna is also residing in each and every atom based on this particular confirmation by Brahma Samhita. So one Paramatma, which is for our corresponding to our soul. Similarly, we also have Paramatma corresponding to each and every living entity residing within the body. Excuse me. Parikshit Maharaj observed this particular form of the Lord, the Paramatma form, the which was thumb long, one thumb long, his own thumb. Thus, the Lord is all pervading by his inconceivable potency, and thus he entered the womb of Uttara to save his beloved devotee Maharaj Parikshit. In Bhagavad Gita 9:31, the Lord assured everyone that his devotees are never vanquished. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashati. No one can kill a devotee of the Lord because he is protected by the Lord, and no one can save a person who the Lord desires to kill. The Lord is all powerful, and therefore he can both save and kill as he likes. He became visible to his devotee Maharaj Parikshit even in that awkward position of the child within the womb, child being within the womb, in a shape just suitable for his vision. The Lord can become bigger than thousands of universes and can become smaller than an atom at the same time. So this particular quote Srila Prabhupada has quoted many times. Anayor aniyam mahato mahiyam. So Anor, sorry, not Anayor. Anayor is the place near Govardhan. Anor aniyam. This is mentioned in the Attaining the Supreme Bhagavad Gita chapter 8. That Lord Krishna is smaller than the smallest, and he's also Mahato Mahiyam, which means he's bigger than the biggest. So that are one of the few opulences of the Lord. Sanjukta Mataji continue from he accepts the form, the pink one.
He accepts the form of Archa Vigraha, worshipable deities, just to accept the service from his different incapable devotees. By the mercy of the Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord in material elements, the the devotees who are in the material world can easily approach to the Lord, although he is not conceivable by the material senses. The Archa Vigraha is therefore an all spiritual form of the Lord to be perceived by the material devotees. Such an Archa Vigraha of the Lord is never to be considered material. There is no difference between the matter and spirit for the Lord. Although there is a gulf of difference between the two in the case of conditioned living being, for the Lord there is nothing but spiritual existence. And similarly, there is nothing except spiritual existence for the pure devotee of the Lord in his intimate relations with the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that this particular form of the Lord, Archa Vigraha, the deity form, is especially meant for material devotees. What is the word that he uses? Incapable devotees. Why he uses the word incapable? That doesn't mean that those who are capable or advanced, they don't do deity worship. We see even the great sannyasi devotees, even Srila Prabhupada himself, he used to so lovingly perform excuse me, sorry. Or even the Goswamis in Vrindavan, they also had their personal deities. So what do we mean by incapable devotees? Incapable devotees means who are able to reciprocate with the Lord only by appreciating Lord's presence in a material way, so that they are able to perceive the Lord with their material senses. Material way is not correct. So that they are able to perceive the Lord with their material senses, and have an interaction with the Lord. That's why deity form has come into existence. Why the Lord has appeared as in the Archa Vigraha, in the deity form. And this question we also had as part of the exam today about Archa Vigraha, about deity worship. And there is one small book by Srila Prabhupada, The Laws of Nature. In that, Srila Prabhupada gives one more explanation for explaining how that Lord and the Archa Vigraha, the deity form, they are non-different. So one time, Srila Prabhupada basically sometimes used to ask devotees to speak. And one time, Srila Prabhupada himself was sitting in the audience and he asked one of his disciples to speak Srimad Bhagavatam class. And the devotee was in a very awkward position what to say. But taking the order from their spiritual master, they used to explain what they have heard, what they have understood from Srila Prabhupada's books. And at the end of the class, Srila Prabhupada raised his hand, and the devotee was shocked, like what question Srila Prabhupada would ask and how would we answer. So Srila Prabhupada asked, in which particular part of the deity does Krishna reside? And the devotee thought for a while and gave some answer, probably lotus feet or something. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, Lord Krishna does not reside in any part of the deity. He is the deity. It is not that he is residing in one part. There is no difference between the Archa Vigraha form and Lord Krishna's own transcendental form. Archa Vigraha is transcendental form of the Lord. In Laws of Nature, book Srila Prabhupada writes that, look, what is Archa Vigraha? Archa Vigraha is the deity, and in the scriptural injunctions, there are regulations explaining how a deity should be formed. Say, for example, one is allowed to make a deity out of substances like wood, out of metal, use paint, or out of earth, that is mud. And one is also able to worship the Lord in Archa Vigraha form, which is the deity form of the Lord conceived within the mind. So specifically, we see the example that we read and studied in Bhakti Shastri course of a Brahmana from Pratishtanpur, from this village Paitan in Maharashtra, where this Brahmana did not have the means, but he had heard in the class that if we offer the Lord, even in mind, if one is not capable to offer physically, even that offering is accepted by the Lord. And how that Brahmana made a hot sweet rice for the Lord, conceiving the form within the mind. And after making the offering, when he tried to check whether the hot sweet rice, it was too hot, then the Brahmana's finger burnt. All of us remember Prabhuji's, Mataji's, this story from Nectar of Devotion, from Srila Rupa Goswami's writing.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So these are the four different types. Like one can make the deity either out of wood, out of metal, out of earth, or in mind. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that all these material substances, including the metal, including the wood, or including the earth, the mud, they all are made up of matter, so they are made up of various atoms within the matter. And Lord Krishna is already residing within those matters. That means even when we don't do a formal invocation of the Lord in the form of prana pratishtha, which is done in temples and all for the deity, like we usually don't do prana pratishtha and all for the deities at home, but still Lord is present in that deity form. How? Even when that form is made or even not made, even when it is a log of wood, still it is the Supreme Lord is present in it in the form of Paramatma in each and every atom. So if the Lord is present even in the form of matter, then why would he not be present when we have the deity or Archa Vigraha form of it? So this is the logic and reasoning Srila Prabhupada gives in the book Laws of Nature. Sometimes atheists, they or the non-believers, they contest the claim that if Supreme Lord is present everywhere, then what is the need to go to the temple and worship the deity form? So in answer to that particular argument by the non-believers, Srila Prabhupada gives this particular understanding that Krishna is present in the matter anyway, even before the deity is carved. Just that, then what is the purpose of carving the deity? So that we are able to have the reciprocation. We are able to have the reciprocation of our relationship, of our feelings by decorating the deity nicely, by offering nice palatable foodstuffs to the Lord in the form of bhoga, so on and so forth, celebrating the festival, so on and so forth. So this is the purpose of Archa Vigraha. So, and Archa Vigraha, the deity worship, it is, you will find in subsequent purports by Srila Prabhupada in this particular chapter, time and again Srila Prabhupada refers to the Pancharatrika as an alternative for the various Vedic injunctions which are difficult to follow in Kali Yuga. So Pancharatrika means worshipping the deity is very important, and we will read through more purports by Srila Prabhupada on that. Any questions, queries, Prabhuji's, Mataji's on this aspect of importance of deity worship in the Vedic, in the Vaishnava culture specifically? Anyone wants to share anything on this in this regard? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Aishwarya Subhadra Mataji, for sharing this. Let me just share it on the group. The size of Paramatma is mentioned as the size of one's thumb. From ring finger to the thumb. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any questions? And Aishwarya Subhadra Mataji has also shared that these prayers by the child within the womb, that prayers, Canto 3, Chapter 31, is also recommended to be read by all the Matajis who are carrying the child. Of course, others should also read it, but specifically, these ladies should also read.
Hare
And
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, yes, Divya Rukmini Mataji.
Prabhu, I have small doubt for the previous one from the sloka. It's a 9, I hope. From the not 9. It's there is one. He mentioned some trance in that one.
You
The
can
child
mention the
is in-
point. Yeah, the child is in trance. Okay.
Yeah, child is in trance for 7 months. Death generally involves in trance for 7 months. Death generally involves remaining in. I didn't understand that. What does it mean? Because if in the womb of the child we can get some from, I think it's from 4 to 5th month, the child will start moving and kicking the mother. No, so I don't know. It's in still trance. I don't know what is a death. Generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months.
Just
when
1
he
second.
awakes in,
Yeah, so what I have also heard, Mataji, and I have to double confirm in this particular context if that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada is mentioning. But between the death and one accepting the next body, there is some period. Okay. So I'm not sure if that is the period Srila Prabhupada is referring to. Aishwarya Subhadra Mataji, have you also heard that generally that period is around 7 months? What is you?
And also the consciousness also developed, no? And the hearing of the child.
Yes, that is also one of the reasons that in the womb of the mother, there are stages at which our different senses develop. So probably the sense of hearing also develops around this, Mataji. But we have heard both. For the 7 months period, specifically it is also mentioned that there is a time in between before the next body is awarded in a normal scenario, not considering the abnormal deaths like suicide and all.
Okay, Prabhu. So then we come to that Kapila's prayer, no? It's in the 19th verse. You read that one, no? 19th verse.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, the living entity is in another type of body, sees only by instinct. He knows only the agreeable and the living entity is another type of body, sees only by instinct. What is how?
So he knows only the agreeable and disagreeable sense perceptions of that particular body. So say for example, this, like, let me open the purport, hang on, if it is not too long. So say for example, there are there are many such living entities, Mataji, who really don't have an understanding For them, anybody who is coming closer to them is a threat. So sometimes, say for example, if we pick up and don't try that, but if we pick up an aquatic, say for example, a crab, and try to throw it back into the water, the human may be going with the intention of helping, but the living entity does not have that intelligence that this person is trying to help. If you try to catch, there is a very good chance they will try to bite and harm. So these are that by their natural instinct, just like a snake. You can't really caress the snake. The snake will become very insecure and will try to strike probably. So their natural instincts are, if something is coming closer to me, it is a threat. But humans are supposed to be more advanced than this. So these are a very primitive form of consciousness that these some of the living entities that have. Is that all right, Divya Rukmini Mataji?
It means, Prabhu, that the child is in the womb. They are
These are the prayers. These are the prayers. So the child is comparing the different types of bodies that the living entities have. The living entity in another type of body sees only by instinct. He knows only. So the child is saying that.
Okay, the living entity.
Okay, because in the subsequent statement, the child says, "But I have a body." That means the child is offering that prayer. That other types of living entities have those types of bodies. Is that all right?
Yeah, okay, Prabhu. Okay, I got
Hare
it.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So there are few hands raised. Any devotees have any queries, questions, Prabhujis, Matajis? If not, we proceed. Or all the hands are for recitation, then we proceed. So in this way, the sages are basically glorifying Maharaj Parikshit. That sorry, not the sages. The Suta Goswami is glorifying Maharaj Parikshit about he being a Veeraha, he being a great fighter who tolerated this scorching heat even in this tender uh, condition of being within the womb of the mother. So now let's proceed with text. 1 second. I'm not going through all the purport, it will be very long. Text number 10. Any other question or point anyone wants to share on this deity worship form? Why this form of devotional service, one of the 9 processes of devotional service, is very important? What is the background understanding from Vaishnava point of view? And Prabhuji's, Mataji's, if you are comfortable, keep the videos on if you are comfortable, so that it's very personal. Otherwise, it looks like a class. It's easier for me to ask devotees if I see you in front. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any questions, comments to offer on this? If not, we proceed. All right, we proceed. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji Jagadananda Murari Prabhu. Text number 10. Let me open the text.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Astra Teja Swagadaya.
Astra Teja Sugadaya.
Niharam Iva Gopatihi.
Niharam Iva Gopatihi.
Vidamantam Sannikarshe.
Vidamantam Sannikarshe.
Parishata Ka iti aso.
Paryakshata iti sa. Translation.
Translation. The Lord was thus engaged in vanquishing the radiation of the Brahmastra, just as the sun evaporates a drop of dew. He was observed by the child who thought about who he was.
Yeah, continue the translation. While thus
being observed by the child, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul of everyone, and the protector of the righteous, who stretches in all directions and who is unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see this particular pattern of reciprocation or dealings by the Lord with different devotees come out quite often in recent some of the discussions. Can we think of any other devotee examples, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, where the Lord appeared, stayed for a while to the vision of the devotee, and then he disappeared? Which all examples we saw recently?
Narada Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, yes, Narada Muni. Who else? Let me
Dhruva.
see who. Okay, so one devotee, one answer. 1 second. Let me ask devotees who have not spoken. Ananda Prada, Indulekha Mataji, Devika Mataji. Can we think of any other devotees examples? Narad Muni is one. Who else? Murli Kari Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Any other examples we recollect about Lord appearing to the vision of a devotee, staying for a while, and then he disappears? And of course, we also saw the reasons that is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam for those cases. Why did Lord disappear? Murli Prabhu, you can try. Don't worry about being right or wrong. I don't know whether there is some issue with Prabhuji's mic. I can't hear him. Any other devotee? Adidev Gopesh Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, could you please repeat the question again?
A question is, can we think of any other examples of devotees who we recently discussed about, in front of whom the Lord did give his darshan, stayed for a while, and then he disappeared from their vision?
Prabhuji, Narad Muni.
Narad Muni, yes, that is the example which Rasarangani Mataji mentioned. Any other example?
Any other example? Vyasdev, Prabhu.
Yes, Narad Muni's own student, Srila Vyasadev. Yes, Lord did appear. In fact, he followed the meditation upon the Lord the way Narada Muni taught him. And Lord did appear in front of him briefly. And yes, then disappeared. Who else? Any other example?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself. And he is, yeah, so there is no question of
Prabhuji, Devaki Vasudeva?
Devaki and Vasudev in front of whom, okay, basically the Lord appeared in four-handed form and then he appeared in the two-handed form. Okay, but even, yeah, noted. Okay, that can be considered. And another example is what Rasarangini Mataji mentioned, Dhruva Maharaj. And we will see a common pattern that the scriptures mention about Lord disappearing. And what is the reason? Why would Lord disappear after a brief appearance? For the Sadhaka Bhaktas, let us discuss about Sadhaka Bhakta examples. What is the reason Bhagavatam mentions about Lord?
Answer.
Yes, Prema Priya Mataji.
To hanker for
Yes.
increase the hanker.
Yes, so that the eagerness, so that the devotee's longing to see the form of the Lord again increases even further. Like same thing happened with Dhruva Maharaj, and Lord mentioned that in this life you are going to see me only what you saw. Same for Narada Muni, that in this life, whatever few moments you saw the darshan, only for that long you are going to see, and you have to continue practicing the sadhana till the end, and then you will come to me for good. Like basically you will get a transcendental body. Similarly, for Parikshit Maharaj, Lord disappeared after protecting the child. And as a result, why Parikshit, where did Parikshit name came from? Yes, Prema Priya Mataji. What is the significance of this name? Parikshit, what does Parikshit mean?
Pariksha he has given at that time in the womb of his mother.
Okay, okay. That is one way of looking. But what is the explanation that is
Hare
given?
Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Parikshit means examining, Prabhu.
Examining. Yes, correct. So the child was examining each and every person after coming out of the womb of the mother. Is this the person that I saw within my mother's womb? Is this the person I saw within my mother's womb? So that means, oops, sorry. That means Parikshit Maharaj was, because he was examining each and every person to see, is this the person I saw? He was doing pariksha to see, to search for Lord Krishna. That's why he's known as Parikshit. So let's proceed. Hang on. So this purport, I'm not going into detail, but all of you can go through at your leisure. Sorry, who was the devotee who was reading?
Hare
Was
Krishna.
it Hare Krishna? Yes, Mataji. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. Please continue. Translation.
Thereupon, when all the good signs of the zodiac gradually evolved, the heir apparent of Pandu, who would be exactly like him in prowess, took birth.
Thank you. So this purport is very important, where Srila Prabhupada writes about the significance of various astronomical influences of the positions of various stars at a point in time, and what is the relevance, what is the significance of the science of astrology truly in true sense, and what are the limitations in deploying this science in the current day and age. So we'll look at this one by one, all these points. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Astronomical calculations of stellar influences upon a living being are not suppositions, but are factual, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Every living being is controlled by the laws of nature at every minute, just as a citizen is controlled by the influence of the state. The state laws are grossly observed, but the laws of material nature, being certain to our gross understanding, cannot be experienced grossly.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here it is mentioned that all these positions of the various stars at a point in time during at the time of one's birth, but many a times what happens in the modern day and age, we do see people sometimes misuse medical science to have a childbirth planned at a time of day and time of their choice. Like say for example, when this very famous date 7th of July 2007 was coming, I remember in UK the government gave many different facilities and discounts in the government fees and all, many different facilities for children who were born on this particular day. Or in 2015, when Singapore was celebrating 50 years of independence, those children who were born on that particular day of independence, when the country achieved independence from the British rule, whoever was born, because the country was celebrating 50 years of independence, the government uh, gifted children born on those particular days 50% of the off in the different educational fees and everything. So what happens that because of these facilities that are coming, sometimes people, they manipulate the childbirth by planning the cesarean operation at that particular point in time, but that doesn't change the astronomical calculations even in this case will remain as when the child was due to take birth naturally. And this is one thing. Second thing is, many of the times, like we see the natural births extremely rare nowadays. We most of the deliveries, they do happen C-section. So because of this manual intervention, that particular opportunity to understand the characteristic, the nature of that particular child, and have a guidelines, principles in terms of how the child would evolve, those totally get lost. Now, one more misunderstanding about the astronomical calculations is that astronomy is the science for predicting the future. Not at all. Predicting the future is only a part of that science. Main part of the science deals with knowing which particular activity we will get the most benefit out of that particular activity if we perform that activity at a point in time. So as to act as a guideline principles for the humans so that they can plan their activities accordingly. Like in the previous times, you would find even the great emperors, they used to leave from their palace at a specific auspicious time. They used to start a specific activity, a welfare activity for the subjects at a point in time by taking guidance from the priestly class, by the Brahmana class. Why? Because it involved astronomical calculation. Then the next question comes is how much of this science should the devotees rely upon in modern day and age? So Srila Prabhupada mentions in this regard in some of his talks. He mentions that his own spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was one of the most qualified astrologers in terms of the learnings and qualifications. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself did not encourage devotees to depend much on this particular astronomical science. Why? There are few reasons. One and primary reason is for a devotee, our main dependence should be on, reliance should be on our surrender to Lord Krishna. And we giving control to the Lord to plan our life as he desires in his service and not on the astronomical calculation. This is one. Second thing, Srila Prabhupada also mentions in modern day and times, very, very less number of really qualified people who exactly are able to know and apply this astronomical science. They exist in the current age. So most of the astrologers who do currently present themselves as astrologers, they also are knowing this science only in part or not even in part, to be honest. And so in general, devotees don't really try to rely on this. And second, relying on it, the misconception that to know our future is not, it's a misconception basically. Ideal logic for astronomical calculation is to know what activity to do based on a specific time, place, circumstances as a guideline principle, not exactly to know one's future. So here we see at the time of Maharaj Parikshit, all these astronomical calculations, the position of various stars was just perfect. And Srila Prabhupada gives one more example. We won't go through all the purport. I will just cover the examples. You can read through at your leisure.
If I may add.
Yes, Prabhuji, please proceed.
What you said is perfectly right, Prabhu. Our Hindu calendars, whether it is a Hindi calendar, North Indian calendar, or any of the languages, everybody has their different calendar. But all these calendars, they mention specifically what time is correct for what, and everything is mentioned in detail. And there are people I have seen, and in my own family, there are people who follow this very religiously. Because this particular time concept is not related to knowing the future. It has a lot to do with what has to be done at what correct time.
Yes. Thank you, P.S. Murthy Prabhuji, for sharing this. So all these times we can use as a guideline, but main principle of a devotee is how do I intensify my devotional service? And we will also see some examples from the scriptures that how Lord himself puts this point most strikingly in front of devotees. How our primary concern should be, how do we increase our surrender to Lord Krishna and depending on him more and more rather than depending on anything else. So we will read through Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, please continue. The most auspicious.
The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place during the appearance of the Lord in this material world, and it is specifically called Jayanti, a word not to be abused for any other purposes.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So this is another important point. If we look at our Indian calendars today, we don't want to take names of personalities, but this word Jayanti is used for many political leaders, etc. And as per the scriptures, this Jayanti is used is to be used only for the appearance of Supreme Lord or his various incarnations or the great devotees, the pure devotees of the Lord. It should not be used for any of the so-called leaders within the political circles and all. It is only meant for the Lord. As a proper time, sorry Mataji, the last line,
The
continue.
proper place and time is selected to receive a respectable personage. So also to receive such a personality as Parikshit Maharaj, who was especially cared for by the Supreme Lord. A suitable moment is chosen when all good stars assemble together to exert their influence upon the king. Thus, he took his birth just to be known as the great hero of Srimad Bhagavatam. This suitable arrangement of astral influences is never a creation of man's will, but is the arrangement of the superior management of the agency of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So now let us see an example from appearance of the Lord himself, how even the most inauspicious moment can become most auspicious because of the activities that are performed in that moment. When did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear, Prabhuji's Mataji's? What was the specific occasion?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the lunar eclipse.
Lunar eclipse. So, materially speaking, that particular time is considered inauspicious. That means we cover the food items that are, during that time. In general, like at least I've seen in my family, extended family, if a food remains uncovered during that time, it is not even fit for consumption. However, then why did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decide to appear during that time? Because it was a custom at that point in time that whenever the eclipse would be there, all the residents, they would go to Mother Ganges, take their bath and chant the holy names of the Lord while taking the bath. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed through his own example that how chanting of the holy names, when people are chanting the holy names of the Lord, that particular moment, although externally from the material calculation point of view, it may be inauspicious, but that moment becomes most auspicious when everybody is taking shelter of the holy names of the Lord. So this is one example. Another example we can see is that when Srila Haridas Thakur, when he was arrested by the Nawab because of him chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he was taken to prison, and after a while, I don't exactly recollect the reason, but after a while, Srila Haridas Thakur, he was to be released from the prison. So he was taken for some time. And when he was to be released from the prison, all the other, basically the, what is it called? Prisoners, they were chanting and seeing Haridas Thakur leave. And Srila Haridas Thakur, he made a wish that let you all remain in this position forever. And all the prisoners became very stunned and morose that he himself is living, but is he expecting us to remain in the prison in this particular state forever? And seeing their confusion, seeing their misunderstanding, Srila Haridas Thakur explained himself that when I say, let you all remain in this position forever, it means that let you all always remain in a position of crying out for the holy names of the Lord, crying out for the Lord. So that is the meaning. That's how he explained. So the point is, for a devotee, even the most inauspicious moment can turn into auspiciousness if we intensify our devotional service in that particular inauspicious time as well. And last example we can give is like whenever sometimes somebody passes away and all the relatives and the near and dear ones can offer is in terms of crying for that person, which doesn't necessarily help in any way in the onward journey towards a higher destination for that person. But if somebody can read Bhagavad Gita, for example, near that person's body, it definitely has a positive help for the soul which has just left the body. So the point is, apparently the circumstances may be inauspicious, but that inauspicious circumstances can be used to have auspiciousness if we engage in devotional service. We also see Srila Prabhupada renting a place which was haunted just because the place came cheap. But Srila Prabhupada used that place to translate, basically write his translation and commentary on Bhagavad Gita and other literatures. So this is the way we can turn inauspiciousness into auspiciousness. Any questions, queries, Prabhuji's, Mataji's on this particular point? Is it philosophical what we are discussing? Hare Krishna. Everybody is very quiet.
It stands to reason, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu, we are good.
It is, yeah, it stands to reason.
Okay,
Prayers
okay.
have a lot of power in them.
So let's proceed. So conclusion from this discussion is, for a devotee, we don't have to be too bothered from the material calculation of inauspiciousness. What is important is how we are able to remember Krishna at all times and how we are able to intensify our devotional service. If that happens, everything else is auspicious. We also see example of Srivas Thakur losing his son, and when the ladies in the house, they were crying, and Srivas Thakur basically told to them that if Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing gets impacted because of your cries, I will go and drown myself in the Ganges. So they were somehow suppressing their emotions for the child leaving them. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt something unusual and awkward, something is wrong, he asked the devotees, is something wrong in the house? And answer by Srivas Thakur was, there cannot be anything inauspicious whenever you are present and your holy names are being chanted. So that is the faith of a devotee. Hare Krishna. So we proceed, text 13. Yes, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, continue with the translation.
Hare Krishna. King Yudhishthira, who was very satisfied with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, had the purificatory process of birth performed. Learned Brahmanas, headed by Daumya and Kripa, recited auspicious hymns.
Yes, so very important before we proceed. Who was Dhaumya Rishi, Prabhuji's Mataji?
Priest of the Pandavas.
Priest of the Pandavas. We saw this last time. And Krupacharya? He was the same Krupacharya, basically, who was the brother-in-law of Dronacharya and who participated in the war on the side of the Kauravas. So we will see one particular point, very peculiar point. Continue the highlighted part, Mataji.
Unless such purificatory processes are performed, there is no possibility of good population. And in the age of Kali, the population all over the world is of Shudra quality or lower for want of this purificatory processes. It is not possible, however, to revive the Vedic process of purification in this age for want of proper facilities and good brahmanas, but there is the Pancharatrika system also recommended for this age. The Pancharatrika system acts on the Shudra class of men. Suppose the population of the Kali Yuga, and it is the prescribed purificatory process suitable to the aged and time. Such a purificatory process is allowed only for spiritual upliftment and not for any other purpose. Spiritual upliftment is never conditioned by higher or lower parentage.
Thank you, Mataji. So here again, one more reason Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that there are 12 samskaras which are supposed to be carried out from the womb to the tomb, from invoking the child to come into the mother's womb, Garbhadan samskar, to the Antim samskar, the last funeral rites. But Srila Prabhupada mentions that while we are at our level, we are still trying to perform some of the samskaras. To do all the samskaras perfectly in this day and age is very difficult because first of all, the facilities for performing many of those sacrifices, making proper offerings is difficult to have. and the qualified priests are not available to perform those samskaras. So this is also one of the reasons why the path of Pancharatrika, which in plain English translate this as the deity worship, is recommended for the householder class to purify our consciousness because of our intensive interaction with outside world. So it is very, very purifying, the deity worship path, especially for the householders. So then Srila Prabhupada in the samskaras goes on to explain the significance of Garbhadana samskar, which means, and Srila Prabhupada again, Garbhadana samskar, he kept it very simple for devotees, where there are no proper yagya or sacrifice as such, only is chanting of the 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if mother and father both chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra before, like basically before uniting and invoking the child's presence within the mother's womb, Srila Prabhupada says the child born will be saintly and with all devotional qualities, and this type of Krishna conscious child basically. So even some of these samskaras that Srila Prabhupada has given us, say for example, I'll give you one more example. Even the house warming ceremony, how the devotees perform, essentially Srila Prabhupada stressed on welcoming the Lord at home, distributing the prasadam and having the kirtan. So many of these purificatory ceremonies and all, Srila Prabhupada gave them from the perspective of Krishna consciousness. Even for the departing of a Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada taught devotees very simply, we should have a feast in honor of the departed soul on the third day, or that day can differ, third day, 10th day, 14th day, whichever day you want to offer a feast to be served for the devotees prasadam. And by distribution of that prasadam, the departed soul will get a very good destination, help in his future journey. So we see that our founder Acharya has given us all these samskaras and the purificatory ceremonies with reference to devotional service, various activities of devotional service. Start with this last line, therefore all the samskaras.
Therefore, all the samskaras, purificatory processes, are not mere formalities or social functions only, but they are all for practical purposes and can be successfully performed by expert brahmanas like Dhaumya and Kripa. Such brahmanas are not only rare but also not available in this age, and therefore, for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer the purificatory processes under the Pancharatrika formulas to the Vedic rites.
Yes. So the next question in this regard, Dhaumya Rishi, we can understand Prabhuji's Mataji's because he was the priest of the Brahmanas. How do we understand about specific help being taken by the Pandavas led by Maharaj Yudhishthir from Krupacharya? Because for Krupacharya, we understand he fought against the Pandavas. Not only did he fight against the Pandavas, he was also one of the parties who was present when Abhimanyu was killed unfairly. He was also the person who was present when Ashwathama killed the sleeping sons, the 5 children of Pandavas. So how do we understand Yudhishthir Maharaj still trusting Krupacharya in all the purificatory ceremonies, basically engaging him as a priest along with Dhaumya Rishi? And not only that, it is explained that after the Pandavas retired from their family life, after the departure of Lord Krishna, when Yudhishthir Maharaj basically he put Maharaj Parikshit on the throne of this whole world. He put Parikshit Maharaj in the care of Krupacharya while living from this world. So how do we understand Yudhishthir Maharaj and the Pandavas entrusting Krupacharya with all these important responsibilities given his background? So this, all of you can probably read through this part of the purport and do some research based on Srila Prabhupada's talks and come back next time. So we have one more group activity after this. But is this activity clear? Prabhuji's Mataji, is the question clear? What is the question? Hare Krishna.
How did Yudhishthira trust Kripacharya? How did Yudhishthira trust Kripacharya?
Yes. How did Yudhishthir Maharaj entrust Kripacharya with the responsibility of purificatory ceremonies for Maharaj Parikshit? And not only that, even when Pandavas left the household life, retired, they entrusted Parikshit Maharaj under the care and guidance of Kripacharya. Okay. Is it clear, P.S. Murthy Prabhuji?
No, Prabhu, I was requesting you to please repeat the question.
Okay. So the question is on the slide, Prabhuji, in front. Why, how and why did Maharaj Yudhishthir entrust Maharaj Parikshit under the guidance and care of Kripacharya? That is the question. So you don't have to answer immediately. You can read through the purport. You can read, like, try and check for references and then come back. Is it okay? All the Prabhujis, Matajis? Hare Krishna. There are so many devotees, only few are answered. Devika Mataji, Rajashri Mataji, is it okay? Mangala Mai Mataji.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So now we go to we are almost closing in on what we planned. All right. So let's go to next text. So this part here also in the purport, Srila Prabhupada does mention some part of this context, the background of Kripacharya. Kripacharya helped kill Abhimanyu, the father of Maharaj Parikshit, but he was still held in esteem. So you find out the reasons why, what was special with him. And even when Maharaj Yudhishthir left, he entrusted Parikshit Maharaj to Kripacharya. So let's start with text 14. Let me see who are the other devotees. Nityangi Prema Siya Devi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One second now. 14. Yeah.
Description. Text 14. Hiranyam Gamahim Graman.
Hiranyam Gamahim Graman.
Astyashvanna Patirvaran.
Astyashvan Patirvaran.
Pradat Swannam Cha Vipraidhyaha.
Radhatsvannam cha viprabhyah.
Prajatirthe Satirthavit.
Prajatirthe satirthavet.
Yes. So here, Tirthavit. Yes, go ahead with the translation, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Upon the birth of a son, the king, who knew how, where, and when charity should be given, gave gold, land, villages, elephants, horses, and good food grains to the Brahmanas.
Yes. So here, Yudhishthir Maharaj is being glorified as Tirthavit. That means a person who knows where a charity should be given and who the charity should be given. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the rightful recipients of the charity are the Brahmanas and the Sannyasis, and even those classes of the society, the social order, who are practicing the duties of Brahmanas. Like sometimes, say for example, even householders in general, they are not meant to accept charity, but if they are playing the part of a Brahmana, fully dedicating their life for the upliftment of the society, then they are also allowed to accept the charity. But no other type of charity, especially Srila Prabhupada stresses in the purport the Daridra Narayan misconception. Here Srila Prabhupada mentions about the Daridra Narayan misconception. So sometimes people, they falsely preach that the poor should be helped, and definitely that doesn't mean ISKCON is against helping the poor, but that help should be with Lord Krishna within the center. If we just help with their material needs without putting Lord in the center, probably the stomach would become full today, but tomorrow again they would go hungry, and there will be no change. no upliftment in their basically destination, either in this life or in the next life. So on the other hand, why the Brahmanas and the
Hey,
sannyasis?
very nice. Come say, not on the road. Hey,
Hare
Laddu, Laddu,
Krishna.
how are you? Very nice. Abdi old money.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Oh,
Krishna
beautiful nails.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why the Brahmanas and the sannyasis were allowed to accept the charity? Because the Brahmanas would dedicate their complete life for the upliftment of the spiritual upliftment of the society, and they won't, as a result, they won't engage themselves in any material occupation of earning their livelihood. As a result, they were allowed to accept these charities in the form of gold, land, villages, horses, elephants, and sufficient grains. And Srila Prabhupada writes, considering all these charities that were awarded to them by the Kshatriyas and other classes of society, it was not exactly the case that materially they were poor, but what important quality they possessed was the detachment. That means they whatever used to come, they used to also give freely to others and lead a very simple life. And we see in the story of so many personalities, including Chanakya, where although employed by the king, the Chanakya, he would use the facilities given by the king only for the service what he was meant to do. But for his personal day-to-day life, he led a very, very simple life. So that was the nature reason why the Brahmanas and sannyasis were allowed. The conclusion is that intelligent men or the Brahmanas specifically engaged in the service of the Lord. They were properly maintained without anxiety for the needs of the body, and the king and other householders gladly looked after their comforts, looked after all their comforts. That means so that the Brahmana doesn't have to be in anxiety about having food, clothing, and shelter over their roof. They were maintained by the other classes so that they could just focus on their service to the society in terms of spiritual upliftment. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also explained some of the other purificatory ceremonies apart from Garbhadana Samskar, including Jata Karma, which is performed after the child is born. Basically, it is explained that how various devatas and administrative devatas and the past forefathers, they also come to visit the child. So it becomes a very auspicious occasion if one distributes to the Brahmanas and all other classes charity during this particular time. So in terms of charity, we also have various references from Gita. Anybody remembers Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Any reference? Even if you don't remember the verse, that is fine. But you can mention the English, where Lord Krishna does stress about charity, importance of charity. We request devotees who have not spoken, try so that we are able to revive what we learned. Can we think of any reference from Bhagavad Gita about Lord Krishna stressing charity? You can refer to Bhagavad Gita, not an issue. In Bhagavad Gita, very simple way to refer is you see the alphabetical index on the reverse, on the backs of Bhagavad Gita, where reference shlokas are given for those topics. So if you refer to charity, you can get Sadatushta Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bhagavad Gita 17.20 shloka.
Okay, can you read the translation?
Charity given to a worthy person simply because it is right to give without consideration of anything in return at the proper time and in the proper place is stated to be mode of goodness.
Yes. So this is how the ideal charity should be given. And there are any other devotees wants to share any other references? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna.
Charity in mode of goodness, charity in mode of ignorance, and charity in mode of rajas.
Passion. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. So also, if we refer to the 18th chapter, Krishna mentions there are some activities which are not to be ever given up by anyone. And one of those activities is dana, charity. Yagya, dana, and tapa. Austerity, charity, and what is the third? Yagya, dana, and tapa. sacrifice. These are never to be given up. They are always to be performed. And we see in the life of Lord Krishna how great personalities like Vasudev, even when they were not in a position to externally offer charity, they were still doing it. Like Vasudev offered charity in his mind after Krishna was born, so as to like follow this proper custom, and he got the benefit of making all those charitable offerings to the brahmanas in his mind. Whatever of course we cannot say we will also offer in mind, because Vasudev was in that particular position of constraint within the prison house of Kamsa. That's why he could not offer externally. But we, on the other hand, we see Nanda Maharaj, he offered charity profusely on Nanda Utsav. So I had planned one more group activity today, which was to discuss about the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, which is the next section, but I guess the time is almost up. So we will have this as the beginning of our next discussion. Do we have any questions, comments, Prabhujis, Matajis? Hare Krishna. Can we read one more verse? Is it okay if we go 5 minutes extra?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, because then we almost conclude this section and next time we can start with the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. So let's recite text. 1 second. I'm looking for a particular word. One. Yeah, so who wants to recite Prabhuji's Mataji's? Any devotee who has not recited so far? Shama Gopika Mataji. You can recite both Mataji 16 and 17. So we discuss in one go. So let me open. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Daivena pratighātena
Daivena pratighatena
Shukle samsthanupeyushi
Shukle samsthanupeyushi
Rato vo anugraharthaya
Rato anugrahataya
Vishnuna prabhavishnuna
Vishnuna Prabhavishnuna.
Translation.
The Brahmana said, "This spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and the all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon."
Thank you. And read one more.
Shall I read the purport also, Prabhu?
Purport will come to after reading 17
Okay.
verse.
Okay. Tasman namna Vishnurata
Tasman namna Vishnurata
iti loke bhavishyati
iti loke bhavishyati
na sandeho mahabhaga
na sandeho mahabhaga
mahabhagavato mahan
mahabhagavato mahan.
So here we see Parikshit Maharaj is being the glorious qualities of Parikshit Maharaj being enumerated, explained by the Brahmanas, the priests who were referred to by Yudhishthir Maharaj. So yes, Mataji, go through the translation and purport now.
Okay. Translation. The Brahmana said, "This spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of God. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon." Purport. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of his mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Puru, the pious forefather of the virtuous king Yudhishthira. The Lord wants to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life.
Thank you.
After the battle of Kurukshetra,
So we won't go through the complete one, but if we see one of the aspect of Parikshit Maharaj that is stressed by the Brahmanas is the protection offered to Parikshit Maharaj by Lord Vishnu. So this is mentioned here in text 16 as well as if we see text 17, the word that is used, Vishnu Rata. Vishnu Rata means that personality who was personally protected by Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Rataha. Is it Rataha or Rataha? Rataha. Vishnu Rataha. Rataha. So this was the special qualification of Maharaj Parikshit. And why did Lord Krishna specific? One more important point. Who was the personality who saved Maharaj Parikshit? Lord Krishna personally entered within the womb of Uttara. However, when it comes to referring to the protector of Maharaj Parikshit, the Brahmanas are pointing to Lord Vishnu. Rato va anugraharthaya Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna. That personality was protected by Lord Vishnu. That means whatever is the administrative function in terms of protection or entry participation in the Kurukshetra fight and all. As such, the activity that is done by Lord Krishna is playing on the flute and enjoying pastimes with his pure devotees in Vrindavan. And all these other aspects of the administrative duties of the Lord, they are more or less performed by the Vishnu feature. So that's why the word Vishnu is used by the Brahmanas while referring to the protector of Parikshit Maharaj. And Srila Prabhupada also explains in the purport, the child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu. And two reasons are mentioned. Why did Lord Krishna protect Maharaj Parikshit? First thing was Maharaj Parikshit being a spotless person because of him being the pure devotee of the Lord. And second, in the purport, you can read at your leisure that not only was he the last descendant of Kuru at Kuru dynasty at that particular point in time, but even the dynasty which was coming from Maharaj Puru. So Puru is different than Kuru. Puru is Puru. Maharaj Puru appeared in Satyayuga, which was much before the lineage of Maharaj Parikshit. So from all that great dynasty of Rajarshis which was coming, Parikshit Maharaj was the last connecting link. And Lord Krishna wanted to protect him for this reason as well, because Krishna wanted the devotee family to continue to be available to rule the kingdom so that citizens could be uplifted spiritually. So one reason is Parikshit Maharaj being a spotless, pure devotee of the Lord. And second reason is last remaining survivor of the both Puru dynasty, because ultimately both are coming, the source is one from Maharaj Puru. So from text 18 onwards, we go more into detail about the glorious qualities of Maharaj Parikshit as explained by the Brahmanas. Shama Gopika Mataji, just help read this highlighted portion once, the difference. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, one thing you have said is he is the last person, that is understandable. But the other thing is he is a great devotee of the Lord. I mean, how is that come? How can we understand that? Particularly because he's not even born. I mean, his characteristics are not known unless and until he is born. You know, he is protected by all the things, everybody. That is the God's design. But ultimately, I mean, what are his characteristics? He is not born.
So that is for our understanding, Prabhuji, that he was not yet born, but for Lord Krishna, not only Lord Krishna, many of his great devotees, like say for example, consider the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Although the child was not even born, even before Narad Muni taught Srimad Bhagavatam to Kayadu, he proclaimed to the Devatas that the child within the womb of this mother is a great devotee, a Mahabhagavad devotee. So for the Lord, it is clear beforehand, even before the child manifests his great qualities after coming out. So Lord Krishna knew it very well that he was a spotless personality even when the child was still within the womb.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I add one point here?
Yes,
The mic
yes,
is okay
Prabhuji.
now.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we are just looking at one birth. Like we are not looking at millions of births. One becomes spotless devotee through the services provided in billions of births so far. So that was probably the second reason why he was considered spotless.
Thank you, Murli Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Shama Gopika Mataji, you wanted to say something or you can continue?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, I can. Shall I continue reading?
Yeah, maybe start from the start. It's not too much. The Lord gives.
Okay. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because he is their supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Lord is the supreme person amongst all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that the one, the personality of Godhead, provides for all other living beings. And by knowing him, one can achieve eternal peace. Katha Upanishad.
Thank you. And this particular point, see, whatever references Srila Prabhupada is quoting in plain English, we should try and note down the which particular verse probably he's referring to. So for this, also he quotes this particular verse in Bhagavad Gita. First two lines are quite famous, so we know. But in Bhagavad Gita, he also quotes the last two lines of that particular verse. Nityo Nityanam Chetana Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. That is one amongst many conscious, supremely conscious being who fulfills the desire. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. He fulfills the desire of many other living entities, all other living entities. And one who knows this, Tam Atmastam Ye Anupashyanti Dhiras Tesham Shanti Shashwati Netaresham. One who understands this truth about the Lord can attain lasting peace. तेषाम शांति शाश्वती. शाश्वत शांति केवल उन्हीं को मिल सकती है. Only they can attain the lasting peace. So with this we would, such protection is given by his different potencies to different grades of living entities. But as far as his pure and as far as his unalloyed devotees are concerned, he gives the protection personally. So with this, we conclude our discussion and we will resume from here in our next session. So we request devotees to come well read, whatever we have covered, plus what is coming, and also come prepared with that particular question which we gave as the homework. Okay. And we will start with the group discussion activity next time, covering text 18 to 29 about the glorious qualities of Maharaj Parikshit as enumerated by great Brahmanas. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, for clarification.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I need a clarification, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I mean, we have to read and come, or we have to submit something.
No, not submit. You read and come so that we can have a active participation.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Sada Tushta Achyut Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I had requested to take test after this class. So Radhika Mataji, if she can share the questions, I'll take it.
Yes, sure. So even for other devotees, I think some of the devotees were still
Krishna,
writing. So you can
yes,
continue.
Prabhu, you have to make me the host before you leave because many have not submitted.
Okay. Okay, fine. 1 second. Oops. I'll stop. You can stop recording, Mataji, or I have to stop.
Because you are the host, Prabhu.